Well, thank you for joining us today. It's Earth Day, and I thought today was a good day to highlight a very important project that brings nature and infrastructure together, and that is the upgrades here to the Blue Belt that are so critical for this community that has suffered from flooding, particularly during storms, but obviously during Hurricane Sandy. The city and the federal government have invested quite a significant amount of money to build this Blue Belt. And I'm really happy today to be joined with my partners in government from the city level to announce some additional funding and to give an update on the project. I was able in this year's budget to secure $1 million for the Blue Belt Street Reconstruction project. So as you can see behind us, there's work still being done on the Blue Belt, but also there's been a significant amount of sewer, both sanitary and storm water sewer installation in this area. So the funding specifically that I'm announcing today is going for the street repairs and some of the curbs, the sidewalks, and potential street raising that may be needed as well, to following the project behind us and following the installation of the sewers that I mentioned. Not just the storm sewers, but there's also catch basins, water mains, and a number of other things that will be taking place in this area. I think it's really important to show again how this has been an award-winning solution, the Blue Belt, and it's amazing, and I'm so proud to be joined with my colleagues from the city level, our borough president Vito Fasella, as well as our councilman David Carr, to talk about how critical this has been. Obviously, we were so devastated by Hurricane Sandy, but in the years since, you've seen this type of investment from the city and the federal level, which is critical. But you've also seen how it's been working. The last heavy rainstorm that we had, so many other areas in New York City were flooded. But here in this area, particularly the Midland Beach and Ocean Breeze areas that had suffered so much during Sandy, and even when there was like the slightest rainstorm, they would be suffering with flooding. We saw how all this infrastructure investment is working to provide relief for our residents, homeowners, small businesses, and it's doing so in a natural way by making sure that the storm waters can be absorbed and that they can be drained properly so it's not on your streets and in your basement. So I'm happy to say that we're continuing to make progress. As you know, or you may not know actually because we haven't announced it, was bidding process for the East Shore Seawall's first phase took place last week. There have been a number of contractors interested, and we'll be learning more from the Army Corps of Engineers, but I feel very good that we'll be able to move forward with breaking ground on that first phase in this summer, and I think that is such a relief for so many because that project had been delayed. Proud to get it back on track, and we look forward to the announcement of that contract and breaking ground in the summer. So all of this is working together, and it comes as partners from the city level, some from the state level, but from the city level and the federal level, working together to protect our communities, to protect our residents, to make Staten Island more resilient, and to prevent the flooding that we've seen in the past. With that, I'd like to introduce our borough president, Vito Fasella.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Really appreciate everything you've done, and this is a good day for the people of this community and beyond. So thank you for your leadership and your efforts, and I also want to pay particular thanks to our good friend, Councilman David Carr, who works tirelessly on behalf of this community. And as Nicole sort of indicated, this is how teamwork should work. Coming on, really working together on behalf of the community and identifying what a priority is. And the Congresswoman did that when she weighed her priorities and determined that this is important not just to this community, for the people of Staten Island. And let me echo what many people sort of years ago took for granted, in that those who lived in low-lying areas, there was an old expression on Staten Island, if you live live below the boulevard, watch out. And as somebody who lived below the boulevard, we had to watch out. But thank goodness we started laying the foundation years ago for this blue belt system. There's an old expression, when you can work with nature, do so. That's exactly what this does. And it does so in not just an aesthetically pleasing way, but an effective way. And we are committed to the folks around here and on the North Shore. We're going to start planning for Blue Belt phase projects on the North Shore as well at some point, because it works. And what a peace of mind to homeowners. If you live here on Rowan Avenue, no, it's not named after our daughter Rowan, but if you live here or anywhere around here, you know years ago when it started raining, when the floods came, you said a prayer hoping that your basement wouldn't be damaged, or you had floods in your homes and everything that came with it. So we're making progress. The teams are working together. That's what we should do. This is government working together. So thank you, Congresswoman, for bringing us here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vito. And someone who has also been a tireless advocate for resiliency and has really been there every step of the way since Hurricane Sandy struck, and a champion for the Blue Belts, our Councilman David Carr.
Thank you so much. I just want to begin by saying Chag Pesach Sameach for all of our Jewish brothers and sisters who are celebrating Passover starting this evening. And it's Earth Day, as the Congresswoman said. And what a great Earth Day gift to the communities of Midland Beach and Ocean Breeze, and really the Holy Shore, from our Congresswoman with the $1 million appropriation for this project. For so long, the city was looking for support from our federal government, so many important infrastructure projects, and our Congresswoman time and again has been delivering on it since she took office for us down in Washington. And so this is just another great example of what government can do when there's actually cooperation between the federal, state, and city levels. And this project is incredibly important because, as great as the Blue Belt is, if you don't have the right streetscape, if you don't have the right pitching, if the catch basins aren't in the right place, the water never reaches them, and then they never get into these BMPs, these drainage ponds, in order to make it back out to sea. So making sure that the streets around us are going to be of the right pitch and the right build in order to facilitate the movement of water to the Blue Belt, that's a phenomenal thing. And as the borough president said, and I'm so fortunate to have him as a partner in so many projects like this one across the East Shore and the Mid-Island, is that we are harnessing the power of nature to solve one of our own problems, rather than trying to find ways to overcome it. And that's one of the reasons why this is such a beautiful thing, is because it's more cost-effective than traditional sewers, and in many ways it's more effective than traditional sewers. Traditional sewers are important, we need them, but as we've seen with sewer projects that have just been completed in recent years, the increased frequency of storms and the intensity of storms leads them to be overtaxed rather quickly. This is a much more effective way to drain water from our neighborhoods if we have that option, and we're very fortunate to have it here. And I thank the Congresswoman for making sure that this project gets finished so we can continue to do more Blue Belts in the East Shore and in the Mid-Island. So thank you, Congresswoman, so much for your leadership.